Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough, or as we affectionately call it here, UTCH. We constantly strive to be an open and welcoming congregation to all who seek community and support. I know that's what brought me here and has kept me here. We don't worship in one specific way each week, and we don't require that all adhere to one specific creed or common belief. But rather, we are a covenant community, committed to loving and supporting each other, advancing equality for everyone, and fighting for justice in the world through courageous action. Whoever you are, member, guest, or friend, and for whatever reason or purpose guided you to join us here today, either in person or online, we welcome you with much love. Now, please turn to each other and greet your neighbors this morning. I'm sorry to interrupt this, but we will have time after the service also to engage more with the people who are here today. But I want to introduce myself. My name is Tammy Hiller. I'm the worship coordinator for today's service. You might notice me shaking a little bit. It's my first time as worship coordinator, so I really appreciate your forbearance. And if I make mistakes, do not hesitate to speak up, and I don't want to skip something that's supposed to be happening, but I also just really want to thank the entire worship team, and in particular Heather Kraft, who did a lot of the work to put this whole thing together, but everybody on the team has been very helpful to help me get prepared for today. Today we're going to be hearing from Aurora Tennyson, and I'll be introducing her right before her sermon in more detail today. I think those of you who have been here for a long time or even a little time know who she is. She's a very important person here, as everyone is. You may notice that the order of service looks a little bit different than normal, especially if this happens to be your first time being here this March. Throughout this month, we've been experimenting with a new format. Children are going to be present for the entire service, and we'll have a time for all ages during the service. And then at the end of the service, but after we've had a chance to have some time to grab a snack and have about 15 minutes of time together to socialize with each other, we will all have religious exploration classes. The service is going to last till about 11:15. Again, there'll be the 15 minutes of snacking and socializing, and then following that coffee break, we'll invite everyone to stay till 12:30 for the faith development offering, and we will be seeking, or the worship team will be seeking feedback from the congregation soon about what this experience has been like for you over this month to decide if we want to continue with this into the future. Before we create our time for worship, let's take a moment to share important announcements. This is a really good time, first announcement, to just ensure that your phone is set into worship mode, so it's either silenced or turned off. As always, we have announcements on the back of your order of service and in greater detail in the e-news each week. So if you don't receive the e-news and you want to do so, there is a place at the bottom of your order of worship where you can just write in your email and put that in the offering plate when it comes around later today. And Amy Dark, our amazing program administrator, will get you added to our list to receive those e-newsletters. And I hope that everybody who receives them reads them. There's so much that's really important to learn in them every week. But now we want to have an opportunity for additional announcements. I'd like to make one myself and then just come up to the mic and give an announcement if you'd like to make it. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to G for doing the work to get this beautiful new carpet installed. Thank you also to everyone who helped to move things out of the way and get that work accomplished as well. So now, any other announcements?
Hey y'all, I'll shoot some coffee, but so so I won't talk about the carpet anymore. It's good though, right? So good.
Yeah.
I'll make an announcement that at the end of next month, where the Justice team is going to invite you all to a screening documentary here in the service, in the sanctuary. It's going to be it's going to be around the theme of Earth Month, which is April, and we're going to be showing Breaking Boundaries: The Science of Our Planet, which is a documentary featuring David Attenborough. That's going to be in here. If you want more details about that, we've put a little notice on our Justice board in the corridor.
And then Hillsborough Climate.
We've got a community update right now with the Hillsborough Climate Challenge, which is happening across town. There's a whole calendar of events across April. You can check it out. It's also on the board up there. And there's a couple of leaflets if you're really, really excited about that.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and I will be hosting a Passover Seder on Saturday, April 4th, next week. And it will be a vegan Passover Seder this year. And if you are interested in coming to that, RSVPs are appreciated, though not required, but it would be helpful to me so that I know how many tables to set up and how much stuff to bring. But right now, there's currently 20 people RSVP'd, of which 10 are from outside of our congregation, and 4 are from my household. So 6 of you have RSVP'd, but if more of you would like to participate in the Passover Seder, please sign up.
Do we have to be Jewish to attend the Seder?
You absolutely do not need to be Jewish to attend the Seder, but you will learn a lot about Jewish customs and traditions around Passover, but there's absolutely no requirement to be Jewish or have a background in Judaism at all. You also don't need to be UU if you it's kind of just open to anybody who wants to come. So I've advertised it to the public as well.
Hi, I'm Linda Seligman. First, I want to let you know that next week is going to be our flower communion. And so if you've never done this before, what you do is you bring some flowers, and then we'll put them on the altar, and then you'll see how the celebration goes. But just try to bring flowers next week. If you forget, don't worry, there'll be spares, okay? And then, let's see, I want to actually celebrate the fact that we did have an impromptu No Kings in Hillsborough yesterday. I know I was planning to go. I thought it'd be one of 6 people, and there were hundreds of people. So that was lovely for our town to do that in community. And then the last thing is that Cliff Staten, who's been a long-time member here, called me this morning. He's had a really rough time making ends meet. And what I'd like to do is put together like a little work party to go over there and help him clean up his house. He's not doing very well physically, not really able to take care of things, and so things have gotten pretty out of hand. So I'd like us to go and support him. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know, okay? And I can send your blessings his way and call him, be in community with him. He can't be here because he just can't be here. He's not doing well. So hold him in your heart. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Patty, whose name tag has chosen to live in my car. I'm so sorry. It slid somewhere and now it's out of sight, out of mind. Anyway, I have cards here for some of our community members who, we don't see, some of them we don't see. And Peg and Richard Wolf, I put Richard there too because he's a friend and he's taking care of Peg, who's on hospice care now. Peg is responsible for quilts that you see hanging around you. I have one for Pal Palmore, whose smiling face we miss. And I'm trying to talk him into coming to services maybe once a month or something, but we'll see. We have a few here. We have Terry Schneider, Casey's partner, who remains in the VA hospital and hasn't been around for quite a while, and so just a hello, even if you don't know, hey, how are you, would be nice. And Jean-Michel Margot, who moved into an assisted living community in Burlington. I will get the address and put it on Lots of Helping Hands. I had it in my email, and I purged every political email and everything else I had, I think, so I'll get that address. And then finally for Tammy's husband, Bud, who is at the hospital, but still recuperating, I'm sure. So Bud's card is... He's home? Oh, that's right. Well, I said he's out of the hospital.
Oh, I thought you said
he's
that.
recuperating at home. But, still recuperating, so a little hi to him as well. They'll all be on the altar, and I forgot a pen, but I'll find one.
Okay, before we take time for worship, sorry, I did that before. Let's start over. If there are no more announcements, thank you. Let's prepare for our time together. We'll now create our sacred space by lighting the chalice, the UU symbol for the light of truth that each of us seeks, the light of hope that each of us brings, and the eternal light of love. We welcome our chalice lighter today, Aiden Aponte. Our chalice lighting reading is Invitation by Shel Silverstein. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer. If you are a pretender, come sit by the fire, for we have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in, come in. Now let's please rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. The words are here.
We'll sing it in unison a couple of times, and then we're going to split into two parts. And Alicia will lead that half of the room, and I will lead this side. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent. Here, we make room for both. After sharing, each person is asked to drop a stone into the vase on the altar, symbolizing the communal connection and collection of our experiences. By taking time to share, we strengthen the bonds between us. If you are joining us online and would like to share a joy or concern with our congregation, please type it into the chat and someone here will read it aloud for you. However, we do not record this portion of our service, so the online service will be paused during it. For those Those of you who prefer to silently acknowledge the joys and sorrows remaining in your hearts, I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while Aviva plays There Is a Love. After she plays it through one time, you're all invited to join in singing this meditation song, which will be projected on the screen behind you. Things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent for a moment as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. Let us close this time together with Amen and Blessed be. Amen. And now our Time for All Ages will be a reading by Aurora Tennyson.
Our reading today is from the screenplay to The Two Towers by Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson, and Philippa Boyan, adapted from the book by J.R.R. Tolkien. Sam. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered, full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it was only a passing thing, the shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out all the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand, because I know now. Folks in those stories had a lot of chances of turning back, only they didn't, because they were holding on to something. Frodo. What are we holding on to, Sam? Sam, that there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Each week, we take a monetary offering to support our social justice work in the community. This support comes in the form of donations. As today is a fifth Sunday, The money collected goes into the Ministerial Discretionary Fund that is used to support our members, and is it also others? And others, I thought so, that are facing hard times. And it's just at the discretion of the
Care team.
The care team. Thank you. I wasn't quite sure, so I'm learning today as well. I'm going to be, please donate by placing checks or cash in the offering basket. If it's by a check, please write plate in the memo line. You can also go to the website and click on the donate button, or you can use the QR code that is there. And I think it's also on the back of our order of service for today. And just thank everyone for your generosity. Thank you for that beautiful offertory music, Aviva. Please join me in our prayer of collective gratitude, shown on the screen behind me in a moment. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. And now I'm very happy to welcome our speaker this morning, Aurora Tennyson. Aurora has been attending UTCH since 2019 and became a member a couple of years thereafter. She and her husband Robbie are parents to 1 human, 2 parakeets, 4 chickens, over a dozen fish, and numerous shrimp, snails, and isopods. I was disappointed not to know exactly how many of those.
It's an ever-shifting number.
I assumed it would be. She is employed as a postdoctoral researcher in the North Carolina State University Vegetable Pathology Lab and spends her free time coordinating religious education activities at UTCH. Attends ham radio and science outreach events and attempting to keep up with an ever-expanding garden. So we look forward to hearing from Aurora.
I did not expect to catch a glimpse of the profound in a satirical novel about vampires. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The story starts much earlier, before I found the author Terry Pratchett. It starts with teenage me trying to figure out the truth, with a capital T, about religion by reading sacred stories. I had been raised Methodist, which, like many Protestant Christian denominations, encouraged reading of the Bible and reflection on it as part of Christian spiritual practice, and just, the thing you should do. I wasn't sure about this whole religion thing, but as someone with bookish tendencies, I decided to read the Bible from cover to cover just to see what the hype was all about. Some of it I liked. The Sermon on the Mount was particularly good, and some I found really dull, and some was kind of disturbing. I wondered if other religions had better selections to offer, so I proceeded to read over my early adulthood the Tao Te Ching, the Bhagavad Gita, most of the Quran, the hidden words of Baha'u'llah, selections of Buddhist scripture, and the Analects of Confucius. Yes, I might be a nerd. Again, all of these books had things I liked and things I didn't. It was almost like religion was complex and nuanced, and there was not one true path, TM, written down anywhere. It's probably no surprise that I ended up here as a Unitarian Universalist. Eventually, I moved on from my obsession with sacred text and returned to the fantasy and science fiction that I loved. And then one day, my sister told me about a podcast that would transform the way I thought about engaging with secular stories. The podcast is called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. And for those who've been here for a while, I've mentioned this podcast before in a sermon, and today I'm going to make good at a promise I made then to unpack the central tenet of this podcast, which is any text that is meaningful to the reader can be approached as sacred if read with ritual and intent. The podcast was the outgrowth of a sacred reading class that started by two secular chaplains in training, Casper Tokul and Vanessa Zoltan. They had originally focused on reading Jane Eyre as sacred text, and then moved on to the popular Harry Potter series. When they started getting requests from folks who wanted to attend the class remotely, they started a podcast to expand their reach. And at the top of their value statement, which I should add is very much in line with the UU values if you read the whole thing, and thankfully it's more inclusive than the statements of the author of the series they analyzed. But at the top of their value statement, they say, "We believe that in treating text as sacred, we can learn to treat one another as sacred. We believe that radical acts of kindness and courage are choices that we make, and that sacred reading and rigorous conversation gives us a practice ground for those choices." And I just really love that. Our theme this month is paying attention. So today I'm going to share two of my favorite rituals to help you pay attention and extract deeper meaning from both sacred or secular texts, whichever you enjoy reading. Maybe one of these will appeal to you. And there are many other approaches than the two I'm going to cover today. So if neither of them jive, then I would encourage you to look into additional techniques. There's lots of ways to do this. The important thing is like in all rituals, that the power is in making the effort and acting with intent. So for the first way of examining secular stories as sacred, I'm going to share a technique from the godly play curriculum that was used in an Episcopal church where I once volunteered to teach Sunday school. As I mentioned before, I have a somewhat conflicted relationship with Christian scripture, and I would probably be the last person that a biblical literalist would want teaching their kids Bible stories. However, the genius of the godly play approach is it's based not on imposing the views of the teacher, but on the literary analysis skills of the student. And it can be employed even with really young kids, but is just as effective with adults. I came to love, when I taught these classes, using hands-on materials to act out Bible stories, and then asking kids questions about them, and listening to their insightful and occasionally subversive answers. Which brings me back to the vampires. Our first selection for analysis today is a book that I like by Terry Pratchett, called Carpe Jugulum. Now you can tell by the name that this is not a book meant to be taken entirely seriously. In the novel, a small backwater kingdom ruled by a bumbling but benevolent king is slowly being taken over by very modern, very sophisticated, oh so polite, and thoroughly evil vampires. A cadre of witches make an unlikely alliance with an itinerant preacher to drive the vampires out. Like many novels by Terry Pratchett, every other paragraph ends in a clever joke that's usually funny because it's kind of an overly accurate description of the human condition. However, underneath the veneer of humor lies surprising depth, a thought-provoking social commentary on the nature of evil and how to resist it. To set the stage, this reading is a conversation between Mightily Oates, a preacher of the Church of Ulm, which is a not so veiled satirical poke at Christianity, and Granny Weatherwax, the tough-as-nails witch, who the townsfolk both fear and love for her ability to save them from trouble. Oates doesn't like witches, and Granny Weatherwax doesn't like preachers. However, neither of them can succeed without each other's help, and they've formed an awkward alliance. That doesn't stop Granny from critiquing the preacher's theology. This kind of starts mid-conversation, and I will do the voices to help you keep them apart. "And that's what your holy men discuss, is it?" asked Granny Weatherwax. "Oh, not usually. There's a very interesting debate raging at the moment on the nature of sin, for example," answered Mightily Oat. "Oh, and what do they think? Against it, are they?" "Oh, it's not as simple as that. It's not a black and white issue. There's so many shades of gray." "Nope." "Pardon?" "There are no grays. only white that's gotten grubby. I'm surprised you don't know that. And sin, young man, is when you treat people like things, including yourself. That's what sin is. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. No, it ain't. When people say things are a lot more complicated than that, they means they're getting worried they won't like the truth. People as things. That's where it starts. Oh, I'm sure there are worse crimes, but they stops thinking about people as things. Now for the questions. The first question is, what is your favorite part of this reading? For me, it was the fact that for the first time I found an atheist-friendly definition of sin. There was no need to involve the divine, no threat of hell, just a simple definition I could apply to my life. The second question is, what is the most important part of the story? I noticed that there's kind of a difference. There's a part you like the most, and then there's the part you think is the most important. So for me, as someone with a strong history of addiction in my family, and a personal tendency to be a workaholic, I thought Granny reminding Oates that treating people as things was a problem that could extend to oneself, and that was an important point. Of course, someone with a different life experience could pull something else out. That's the beauty about asking open-ended questions about the text. The third question is, what part of this story is about me? This is where my reflection kind of kicks me in the pants. It's one thing to point at corrupt politicians, greedy CEOs, or hardened criminals treating people as things. It's another to reflect on the times when I manipulated a coworker, or let my spouse do more than their fair share of an unpleasant task, or even when I could afford otherwise, supported businesses with exploitative labor practices. Yeah, so what about me is sometimes the hardest question, but sometimes it can also be a question that brings joy. The fourth question is, what part of this can we leave out and still have everything we need? And I'm going to say I kind of cheated here. I left out the rest of the book. This section is the part that had everything I needed for my ethical formation when I read this book. Imagine how much better the world would be if before making a difficult decision, people paused and asked themselves, but am I treating people as things? The next approach I want to share is called Lectio Divina, a monastic approach from the Christian tradition for literary analysis that literally means divine books. There's many variations of this approach, but it usually involves reading a text multiple times, so be ready, you're going to hear the same thing a few times here. Each with a different focus. And on the version, I'm going to teach you the version that was taught in Harry Potter and the Sacred Text podcast, where the text is re-examined first literally, then allegorically, then as relates to the reader's experience, and then as a call to action. To teach this technique, I've chosen two related selections from my favorite of all books called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. If I could keep only one book in my life, this would be the book. This book is actually nonfiction. It's a series of essays on science, ecology, and ethnobotany written by a botanist with the soul of a poet. It's the kind of book I read over and over again and still find new meaning. It's very much sacred to me. Okay, but enough gushing. Let's get on with Lectio Divina. I'm going to read this short section 4 times with pauses for reflection. And unlike the previous one where I kind of told you what I thought, we're just going to have some silent time for everyone to have a time to consider things. In the interest of time, we are going to keep these things silent because, we do need to move on after this. But if you've got something that really you're moved to think about and you want to share with people, please tell your neighbors, tell me after this part of the service is over. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the selection and think about just the literal meaning. This is written by a scientist, so maybe you want to think about the science behind it, or maybe you want to think about what this would literally look like. Each person, human or no, is bound to every other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If a being gives its life to feed me, I am in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, I am responsible for returning the gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know these duties and how to perform them. We are all bound by a covenant of reciprocity, plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this. Clouds know this. Soil and rocks know that they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. So now that was the time to focus on the literal meaning. The next focus is an allegory. Is the text representing something else to you? Each person, human or no, is bound to each other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If a being gives its life to feed me, I am in turn bound to support its life. If I received a gift of streams pure water, I am responsible for returning a gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know those duties and how to perform them. We are all bound in a covenant of reciprocity, plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this. Clouds know this. Soil and rocks know they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. The third focus is similar to the third godly play question, which I don't think is quite a coincidence. How does this reading relate to my experience? In other words, does this trigger a memory of a personal event? When I read this to my husband, he's actually like, "Aw, that makes me think of planting green beans with my mom in the garden." Each person, human or no, is bound to every other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If a being gives its life to feed me, I'm in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, I am responsible for returning the gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know these duties and how to perform them. We are all bound by a covenant of reciprocity, plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this. Clouds know this. Soil and rocks know they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. Finally, I'm going to read it again, and this time I want you thinking about it as a call to action. Is the text calling you to do anything? Each person, human or no, is bound to each other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. If a being gives its life to feed me, I am in turn bound to support its life. If I receive a stream's gift of pure water, I am responsible for returning the gift in kind. An integral part of a human's education is to know these duties and how to perform them. We are all bound by a covenant of reciprocity. Plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this, clouds know this. Soil and rocks know they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. So now that you know, or have been reminded, if you already knew these, of sacred reading practices, how can you engage further with them? For myself, I find the current season of Lent, a time in the Christian tradition for fasting and spiritual development, is a good time to take up sacred reading for a short period of time. Even though I don't consider myself still a practicing Christian, I still observe Lent as a time to practice and take ways to take better care of the earth and be more reflective in my life. In years past, that has involved sacred reading of my favorite poets. This timing also might work well for folks practicing earth-centered traditions, as the period between midwinter and spring is often seen as a time for reflection and preparation for action. Of course, depending on your religious background, other times of year might jive better with your spiritual calendar. But if you don't have a particular spiritual calendar and need something to do for a month or two before the equinox, as winter passes and spring returns, try reading a book you love and using these or other rituals to reflect a little bit every day. It may surprise you what you come up with. I think an even better way to approach sacred reading would be to form a book club, where the ritual can be shared and reflected on by its members. And I'm just going to put a plug out here. If anyone wants to read Lord of the Rings, a sacred text, I'm getting ready to reread it. Yeah, just like we can do this. And if you want to form other groups for other books, please. Even if regular sacred reading is not your thing, I hope you might, when stumbling across a particularly meaningful quote, something in an article, song lyrics, that you learn to pause, read it again, and just ask yourself a few insightful questions. Maybe, just maybe, we can all learn ways to treat text as sacred, so we can learn to treat one another as sacred too. Amen, and blessed be.
Ooh, wow, that's all I can say. That's beautiful, and a practice I want to begin to do. At this point, we would all please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, Benediction. Our closing words today are excerpted from The Republic of Imagination, America in 3 Books by Asar Nafisi. Stories are not mere flights of fantasy or instruments of political power and control. They link us to our past, provide us with critical insight into the present, and enable us to envision our lives not just as they are, but as they should be or might become. Imaginative knowledge is not something you have today and discard tomorrow. It is a way of perceiving the world and relating to it, as Aurora has shown us so well. Now please join me as we extinguish our sacred UU chalice. The words are shown on the screen behind me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. We will continue to carry in our hearts until we are together again. Blessed be, be in peace and blessed be. Please stay for 15 minutes of fellowship and nourishment for our bodies, followed by religious education for us all, more nourishment for our souls. The adults will remain here in the sanctuary. The elementary children will be doing a Lego value use lesson in the RE room, and the youth will be making snuffle mats for the animal shelter in the library.
There's another pen.
sounds like